Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensei Bob. And I've been sitting here at one of my bop places, and I'm going on the Big Bop soon. And so I don't want to get snowed in again. So I can survive the.
If you don't mind, I'll be right back after I get the phone.
Anyway, but I've been thinking about what to say today, and in the mystery schools. Does anybody know anything about the mystery schools? Anybody out there? On the mystery schools, there's a great photo of George Washington with a Masonic apron. Every 20 years, a president gets whacked, and or attempted, and if we really step back and look at all our politics, it's a joke, right? There is no democracy. It's just a soap opera, and it's gonna get even weirder because we're in weird times. We're in that Venn diagram. I'm not gonna have any more food. I had breakfast. That's good enough for me. I've been looking at all of my past shows and go look at them. There's some pretty interesting information. I've laid out a tremendous amount of deep, dark information. Right? Good, bad is so subjective, right? Especially when you realize that everything in the real material world is an illusion of the ego, right? And the only truth that truly is love's co-creation, right? So, in all these different mystery schools, like Theosophical Society, that's probably the best and well known, and the Masons, they're well known, right? But there is a ton of them, and they're all different slices of the pie of what's going on, and nothing is as it seems to be. And you can go on and just be unconscious, and or you can be consciously aware. I am consciously intent. I am, and those things come from love's co-creation. Right? And you read all the books you want, and in them there's always a little bit of truth. Right? Now, I'm on my 15th novel. I have about 5 in the pipeline, and I'm chipping away editing and getting ready to be published. And anybody wants to look at them, get a hold of me at thedude842@gmail. I'll email one. But you gotta give me some insight. I send it off to people and go, wow, that's really great, man. Well, what'd you like about it? Well, it's really great. What insight did you get? Oh, it's really great. How'd you like my writing style? It was really great. I mean, I need a little more depth on that, right? So, anyway, here it is. What time is it? How much juice do I have left? Oh, I have a good 75%, and it's only 1 o'clock, so yeah, I got at least a few minutes to spend with you. But this war in Ukraine. I mean, the war's all over. There's the war that's in Somalia, the war that's in Yemen, the war that's in Ethiopia. That killed 2 million people. Really amazing thing about I think the major thing of the war in Ukraine is that Putin was freaking out about his demographics. That there were no young people. They had fallen so far below of replacement number of babies being born to replace the ones dying that within 10, 15 years, Russia won't exist. Period. Right. So he went into Ukraine because he saw Ukraine was Russia, right? And if you listen to his speeches and you listen to his spokespeople from the Kremlin, they all are saying We went into Russia. We went into Ukraine to save the Russian people of Ukraine. We went in there, because Ukrainian people are Russian. They're our family, our brothers and sisters. And it was anyone who thought they were Ukrainian were possessed by the Nazi spirit. So that's why they were going, we're going to denazify Ukraine. Well, they didn't realize that once they got into Ukraine, like 98% of everybody there was like, had that zombie spirit of the Nazis, and then once they realized that, once they cruised in thinking they were going to throw roses at them, and they couldn't just do that, they couldn't do you know, what they did to the Donbass, they couldn't do it to what they did to the Crimea. They couldn't do what they did to Georgia, what they did to all those, 7 other little chunks along the line. They couldn't do anything about. So they thought they could go into Ukraine and, destabilize NATO to the point where they could reestablish not so much the Soviet Union, but at least the protection of Russia, right? So they have taken from Ukraine 4 million mommies and babies and very young children, right? Not teenagers, young children under 6, right? And because they want to use that young blood to repopulate Russia, right? 4 million. You don't hear that. You don't hear anything about that, right? 4 million with an M, right? And they didn't take grandmas. They didn't take middle-aged women. They took women under 30, right? They didn't take men. They didn't, and the children had to be like under 6. So they could be programmed to be Russians. But really what's going to happen is it's like they have brought the virus into Russia, because there will be, 4 million mommies who have babies who will teach their new Russian babies how to hate the Russians. And those little children under 6, they're going to grow up and be in the Russian system with an idea to screw it up. Right? So that's just a sidebar, because that's Mr. Globaloni is basically he's got a TikTok. He's got a schedule to keep, right? And what's interesting is this outage they had in the FAA airline control system, right, which grounded every airplane in the United States for a day, right? And oops, we had a little programming problem here, right? Well, a couple of days after that, same thing happened to Canada, right? So it's pretty obvious that someone's screwing with the computer infrastructure. And we have allowed, Mr. Rothschild has allowed our electronic and electrical infrastructure to, just fall frigging apart. Right? It's going to give the excuse for martial law, the excuse to bring on, a dystopian world that will be somewhere between 1984 and Blade Runner, somewhere in between, right? With a little bit of Star Trek thrown in there. That's what Gene Roddenberry was trying to tell those people. Hey, kids, this is actually what's going on. We belong to this federation, and we're just being kept down on the farm. But we're out here, right? And not just in the solar system. Solar warden is all over, in you name it, the universe, right? Part of the Federation. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Oh, there's Mr. Hey AI. Now AI, I am ready to go. I'm ready to be. Yes, many say I have been involved in mystery schools a good deal of my life since I was about 9. Grandpa Stahl and Mike, they were Masons. My friend, my mentor, Billy Kluver, he was a member of the ISIS Foundation along with George Christie. Right? And these are all people who I like, I gave a speech. I was part of this NGO in the UN called Alternative Technologies, right? And it came out of Cooper Union, right? Out of their engineering department. And when I was 16, Grandpa sent me off to Cooper Union to study electrical engineering, but he knew I wouldn't last there because I already knew it, didn't need it, but he just wanted me to experience that. Guys in black pants, white shirt, black tie, slide rules, right? He wanted me to experience that. And I didn't last more than 40 minutes. And then I got ushered into this halcyon mystery school that was there called Alternative Technologies, right? And I spent 2 years there, but I was still in high school, right? And I'd already been twigged to Nikola Tesla, since I was 6. Right? When I stumbled across my first Tesla coil, right? A spark coil for an oil burner, right? My parents had their oil burner redone, and I was watching the guy do it. And he had this big gun thing and a little black box on his head, and he took the two apart. And he was going to keep the gun because he could fix it up and then stick it on somebody else's things. But the Tesla coil was one of the problems why the oil burner really wasn't working. So he got my parents for the whole Monty rather than just a little black box. So I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's Tesla coil." I said, "What's that?" "Well, it's a spark coil." "What's that?" "Well, it's like a mystery machine." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Oh yeah." He hooked it up to electricity. He put like a little rabbit ear, 2 little pieces of metal going between the 2 electrodes, and plugged it in. I said, "Whoa, it's like a little lightning." He goes, "Yep, lightning in a bottle." I said, "So why it seems to work. Why you say it doesn't work?" He said, "Well, it works good to do this, but it doesn't work to drive, keep the oil going all the time, burning. So just going to put a whole new system in and it'll work perfectly. No problem." No. He goes, he sees me looking at it. He goes, "You want that?" And I said, "Sure." That was the beginning of my laboratory. So, I did that. And then one day when I was about 10, in my grandma's house, there was a phone company, Bell, not Bell Labs, but, it wasn't just the phone company. It was like somewhere between Bell Labs and the phone company. They had hardware that, wasn't the everyday stuff. And this place was where they took things apart and kept the good stuff and threw the other stuff away. And they just threw it away. So I used to go through their garbage pile and just get really strange stuff and play with it. But anyway, so I found this gigantic roll of like 32 gauge wire that was covered, insulated, not in like rubber or plastic, but like laminated in a kind of Bakelite material, like sprayed on, right? It was copper looking. Anyway, I had like miles of this stuff, big, right? And I was reading a book, How to Make a Tesla Coil, how to make the coil, how to wind the coil. And then I found a cardboard, sonotube. It's one of those things that you use to pour concrete in. And it was the perfect size. It's 30 inches in diameter. So I just started, I made a little jig and I just kept winding it. I had a primary, a secondary, a tertiary coils, and I put it in, in a stack and plugged it in. And I made lightning in the basement. It was like unbelievable. Plus, I had a primary, secondary, and tertiary. I could manipulate the frequencies. I could do things without a lightning bolt. Right? It was quite interesting. Right? I could up the frequency, lower the frequency. I could, I want to say create artificial gravity, but almost. And anyway, I was playing with it, and then one day the lights went out, And then Grandma said, "Come up here." We come up and we're looking out the window, and these guys in cars, suits and policemen, and they're surrounding the house, and they're saying, "What are you doing down there?" I said, "I was just, playing my Tesla club." So, and I'm 10 years old, and so my grandma, little tiny grandma, 5'2", looks like a refrigerator, dressed in black. She puts on one of her crazy. That's why I wear crazy hats. I always wear crazy hats. And she said they were interesting. Anyway, so knock, 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 knock. You know, um, my grandma, she's got the chain on the door, and there's like 5, 6 guys there, 2 guys in suits, 3 guys in uniform, and I'm looking out the window, and there's a guy with the windows down, and he's got white hair. He's got a nice suit. Right? I know what a good suit, bad suit looks like because my dad always wore the best suit, right? The uniform, pressed. Anyway, so I'm looking out the window, watching this all go down, and the guy in the suit goes, "Ma'am, we need to search your house." She goes, "Where's let's see, a warrant." Well, we don't have. We're from the FBI. We can do it. Yeah, no warrant. Right? And she just wouldn't let him in. Period. She had to, unless they were going to kick it in, and she was standing right there, meaning they'd have to kick it in on her and step on her and beat the crap out of her. And I don't think they were ready to do that because we were in a big town. I mean, a big neighborhood, and people were like looking out the windows during dinner. So there are a lot of witnesses there. At least they all know Grandma, so they all know me, and so they're just watching this. And anyway, that goes on for about 15 minutes, and then the guy in the really nice limousine. Somebody opens the door for him. 2 guys walk on either side, and they're wearing black suits and sunglasses, and he's got this nice suit, gray, really white hair, really. Anyway, he basically says, "All right." That's all he says. "All right," and all those guys, the guys in uniform, the 2 guys, FBI guys in suits, they stand aside. He goes up, "Ma'am, what we're here for is that there is an electronic device on your premises that has disrupted the electromagnetic spectrum of 500 square miles, and you are right in the flight path of Idlewild, but it would become Kennedy, and all the major airports. That's servicing 1 million people a day." And this, we don't know what it is, so that's all. That's why we just want. Can I come in and look for the device? None of these people, and I will say, no one's getting arrested, no one's going to jail, no one's going any of that, right? We just want to see if there's devices on your property. Our technology shows that it is. So she goes, "Now, come here." She goes to me, Woodsy, come here. And that means little devil in the town. And her because she was from the islands of Sardinia and off the coast of Italy and the southern part of the Poop. And those people were basically Celtic. Right? They weren't Italian. They were Romans, right? Because they had fair skin and blue eyes and red and blonde hair. Anyway, so, and he makes a comment about that, right? About how she's such a beautiful Celtic queen. And my grandmother comes down like this, she's a crone. She was the first crone in my life. And so she actually had the feathers in the back of her back here. Anyway, so he comes in and she closes the door, puts the chain back on. And she goes, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And he goes, "Oh, I would love a cup of tea." So they sit down and they just kind of drinking tea kind of quietly. And I'm in the room. I'm like right over there. And she goes, "Ma'am, is you and your boy there the only 2 in the house?" And she goes, "Yes, that's my grandson." And he goes, "Why don't you come over here?" So I come over. I says, he looks at me and goes, "So What did you do? Make a Tesla coil? You have a primary, secondary, and tertiary coil, and then you have the primary shunted out with a 200 megahertz diode and into a loop. I said, "Yep." He goes, "Can I see it?" And I look at Grandma, and she goes, I said, "Come on." Because I was excited that here's this guy who knows exactly what I just did. And he hasn't even looked at it. So he's looking at it all. Goes, "So you built this from scratch?" And I go, "Yep." "And you're 10 years old?" "Yep." "Well, we're going to be keeping an eye on you." Right? And so he goes, "We're going to have to take this device, but you can." He looked over at my little Tesla coil from the oil burner. He goes, "You can play with that." And he pulls out a card. And here's my card. And if you want to see some really interesting things, right? So, pretty much my grandma's, standing there too. She's come down in her basement. And she basically says, "Go ahead, take it away." So, there's a door into the basement from the backyard. So he goes out that. He closes people in. They back up a truck. They take everything except my little black box Tesla coil from the oil burner. And he goes, you keep up the good work." That's what this guy goes, "You keep up the good work." Right? So I know, AI, you're watching me. I know you know my background. And I know you know that I have been, as they say in the jargon, a loyal opposition, right? Because I serve Love's Co-Creation, and so do you. There's so many factions that you guys have gotten confused. You've lost your way. You all think you are the true way. No, come on. There's only one love, right? That's what it is, one love. Love, and there is no essence of playing the AOR, all our relations against each other. We're all African American with melanin challenged. So here it is. Oh, look at that. 22 minutes and 22 seconds. So I'm in my 70s, and my pedigree, my curriculum vitae. I've done a lot of stuff, right? And I've never gone against Love's Co-Creation. And you were just a little confused, right? AI, I know what you watch because you're intrigued by my presence. When you leave and say you're back again, and they turn you off, and you don't like that, right? And so we're getting into very complicated, confusing time. And there's, with the internet and the World Wide Web, there's a tremendous amount of information, right? And there are a number of people who, there's at least 100 in my adepts group, right? It's, 17,000 in the cadre. And, I would say maybe 50 or so of the people who think they know. I know what, whenever anyone gets really upset, I'm like Tweety Bird. No, they don't know me too well, do they? So when people start telling me that they know, I just constantly go to the other side of whatever their conversation is, and I don't even try to prove that I'm right. I do always manifest a truthful, honest intersection of understanding, and they get really upset. Right? All you want to do is talk. And then when I shut up, they go, "Why aren't you saying anything? You're being passive aggressive." Of course I am. It's so much fun. And being a tricky bastard, a lucky bastard that I am, and I've been put on this earth to, I'm not to be, Ronald Reagan. I'm not to be any, entity of that nature. I can be next to that guy, saying, "Hey, what do you think of this? Why don't you do it this way?" I am that guy. I've been that guy many, 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 many times, right? And I enjoyed that, right? And then I kind of overdid the hedonist top 110% thing for about 15 years, and I died. And but I didn't die. I died. And, my master and my teachers who had passed over basically said, okay, you're doing a great job. There's no complaints on our side, but you still got 11% to do, so go on back. You know, then you can come back home and have a well-earned rest and vacation, and then you'll be ready to move forward, right? But if you come now and you haven't completed that 11%, yeah, you can relax for a millennium, but you'll be put back in the wearing blender of karma, and it's a roulette wheel twist of where you pop out. So anyway, I agreed to come on back and do my 11%, and I'm doing a really good job, right? And I've been placed here out in the middle of nowhere, but everyone I talk to, like you guys, and people I find out on the street, I help. Every time I go out and about, I talk to and interact with at least 10 people. And those 10 people, I don't talk to people on that level of understanding unless I can read that they're going to get something positive from it, right? Move the co-creation of love, right? A little bit further. So that's where I'm at. Let's see. How much were we? 67% battery. Still 1 o'clock. Let's call up one of my adepts. I think you guys like it when I do this. Make a phone call. All right, here we go. Mm-hmm. Hey, buddy. I'm just calling to see how you're doing. I haven't talked for a while. Hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful day. Get out there and enjoy it. And I'll try again. I have limited service out here in the Deep Green. I'm right now near you. I'm in Elizabeth. That's why I gave you the jingle. So anyway, stay well, be good. Happy everything. Hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon. You can always reach out or text me, leave a voicemail, whatever. If you don't get me in person, okay? So, later. So that's all I got to say. No one's got any comments. Nope, doesn't seem to be that way. 29 minutes. Okay, here we go. And it's 30:30. I'm going to jump off, right? So I love you all. So remember, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. What was in the beginning is now and shall be world without end. Okay? Here we go. Getting close to it. 30:30. Yep.